In this video, we're going to take a look at creating a line chart in Excel. Line chart should only be used to show how something changes over time. So we have some data here that shows how media usage by consumers changed over the, looks like about 12-year period here from 85 until 96. So we're going to do a non-adjacent selection this time. We're not going to do 6 lines here for all 6 of these different columns. We're just going to do 2. We're going to compare newspapers and magazines. So I want this data to be my 2 lines, and I want this data over here to be my years down at the bottom along the x-axis. So since I want newspapers and magazines to appear in my legend, I need to include row 2 in all of this. So the word year will not appear any place in my chart, but I still have to select it. So select that, let go of the mouse, then we're doing a non-adjacent selection, so hold the control key down and then select magazines and newspapers, and now we have the data selected. Basic rule with Excel is the data needs to form a rectangle if you slide it together. It may look like newspapers is not selected here, but Excel always marks the first cell where you started to do your most recent selection by not changing the fill color. So this is where I started my selection. That's why it looks different, but it still is part of my selection. So if I were to squeeze these all together now, I would have a rectangle. And now we can go and tell Excel we want to make a chart out of this. So go to the charts group up here. We want to do a line chart. And usually I take the first one, but with a line chart, if you do this, everything is just a smooth line and you don't actually see the data points. And it almost makes it look like it's kind of a continuous function, whereas it's not. So usually with a line chart, I do a line with markers, and then you can actually see the data points. So we're going to pick that one. And this is what we get. And Excel has done most of the work for us, but it's actually done a little too much work for us. It has interpreted the numbers over here in column A as a data series. And that makes sense because basically it looks at numbers and assumes that numbers are supposed to be plotted. This is not a data series. Before I do anything else here, I'm going to move this chart to a new sheet. So let's go up here in our Chart Design tab and go to Move Chart and click on New Sheet. I'm not going to bother to change the name here, and click on OK. So here's our chart on a new sheet, and these 2 lines are just fine, but this line up here is kind of throwing everything off because it's so much bigger than all of these, and also because it's not really part of our data. So it's easy to get rid of. All you have to do is click on it once. You'll see the handles appear around each one of the data points, and then you can just hit the delete key on your keyboard, which I'm going to do right now. And it replots the other 2 lines. It adjusts the scale on the y-axis and replots the lines. Now I'm halfway there, but what I do not have yet is the years down here at the bottom. So I need to get the years down at the bottom. And to do that, I need to go to our Select Data button up here. So click on Select Data, and you get this kind of funny looking dialog box. This is one of the more hard to understand dialog boxes, I think, in Excel, because it's kind of divided up into 2 parts here. And on the left side, we have all of our data series, and we just have 2, newspapers and magazines. And these are the labels that will appear in the legend, so everything is good on this side. Now on this side, I've got, it's asking me for my horizontal or my x-axis labels. And by default, if you don't tell it, it puts 1, 2, 3, and just numbers as many data points as there are. And I think we got 12 data points. So that's not what I want. So I need to edit this. Click on the Edit button. And now we get this dialog box. And the easy way to do this is to go and find the data, and it's on a different sheet now, so we have to go down here to our Media tab and tell it what our axis label range is. And I do not want the word year to appear down at the bottom. I want these 12 numbers to appear down at the bottom. So select those, click on OK, and it should take you back to the chart. And now the years are down here like they're supposed to be. If you look at the chart, the years are down there as well. And now we can click on OK. And we've got pretty much the chart that we want. We're going to make a few edits here. One is we're just going to go up here and edit the chart. And the easy way to do that is just click on it once, not twice, and then type in what you want. So we're going to call this newspapers versus magazines, comma, hours per year, 1985 to 1996, and hit enter, and when you do, it automatically updates your title. So one of the changes we're going to make here is we're going to change the color of at least our first line here. So you select it just by clicking any place on the line, and this Format Data Series window should appear over here. And I want to change so I've got a tab here for line, I've got one for marker. Let's do line first, and click on solid line, and I'm going to make this red. And then I'm going to click off the line, and you see what happened is the line got changed to red, but the marker is still the orange color that it was before. So I need to go back over here and reselect my line first. So it says Format Data Series. Click on the bucket, which is still selected from the last time. And now click on marker. And for marker, I'm going to do a solid fill. And the fill color I'm going to choose is going to be red, so it matches the line. And then I'm going to click on my chart over here. And this is really hard to see because it's like 1 pixel wide, but it still has the orange border around it. So let's go click on the line again, and now it says Data Series. Click on marker, and under border down here it is still orange. We need to select solid line instead of automatic, and click on red, which apparently it is selecting by default. It's figured out that's what I want. And now there's not much change. We lost that 1 pixel of orange around the outside, but now our line is red. And you can do the same thing down here. This gray doesn't really stand out very much, so you could easily change that. The problem is that for some reason Microsoft thinks that you may want to have the color of the markers and the border of the markers different from the color of the line, so you've got to do 3 things every time you want to change the color of a line. Okay, let's look at just a couple of other options here. One is the text numbers over here on the left, and when I click on that, you'll notice over on the right now it says Format Axis, and it's got some options here for text. But what I want to do is I just want to change the font size. So I'm going to go to our Home tab here, and I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. So let's make it like 14 points instead. I'm going to go down here and do the same thing with this text. And again, it's just up here and do 14. That's the easiest way to do this. And then select my legend. I'm going to make the legend the same size as well. Okay. Any other things that I want to change? It's just, let's say I want to change the background here. Just click on the background someplace. Format Plot Area should appear over here on the right, which is the area that's inside the handles now. I could also just do a right click and say Format Plot Area, and it would bring this up if it wasn't already over here. And we're going to do, let's try doing a gradient fill on this. And there's a bunch of preset gradients, and a gradient just gradually changes from one color to another. And we've got different colors here and different styles for changing the color. And I think we'll just stick with the first one here. Now let's try the second one, a little bit darker. Okay. In doing that, as you can see, it made the gray harder to read. So this is something that you probably want to change as well, but we've already done that, so I'm not going to do it again. So that's how you create a line chart in Excel. And remember, the most important thing is only use a line chart if you want to show how something changes over time. If you're not showing how something changes over time, do not use a line chart. That's what line charts are for. You have to find another type of chart, and a good type of chart probably would be, if you're trying to show quantities, it would probably be like a bar chart or a column chart.